we are going to reconvene in open session. So it's 6:30, we're on time. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Arlene, could you do the pledge for us? We're missing. Okay. So do I have adopt the agenda? A motion?
Are there any changes to the agenda?
Are there any changes?
We do have a couple of items that need to be pulled. And so one is item 12A to be pulled, and item 17C2 to be pulled.
One's 12A, okay. And 17B2, let me make a note of that. Again, for 17, what number was it? 17?
C2.
C2, okay. Thank you.
Madam President, I move to approve the agenda as revised.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So a report out of actions taken in closed session.
We do have one action to report out. In closed session, the board approved to release of employment of one classified employee identified by number 22230501 on a vote of 5-0. It was approved.
Okay, thank you. And now we have our student reports. I'm glad to see both of you here. Good to see you. So we'll start off with Kimberly. Kimberly on El Rancho, tell us what's happening.
Hi everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Diaz Solano, and I'm currently the ASB president of El Rancho High School. This week, we are having nominations during lunch in the quad from Wednesday to Friday to nominate students for our homecoming court. These students must be in good standing, no U's and only one N. Next, we will have campaigning and promotion for those who made ballot from 9:26 to 9:30. Voting will start on 9:28 and end 9:30 during lunch. We will notify winners on the 30th at the end of the day to prepare for next Friday's HOCO assembly and game. Next week, we are participating in our school-wide See Something, Say Something Spirit Week. On Monday, the Spirit Day is Mimi's Monday. Don't sleep on info. See something, say something. Tuesday, Team Up Tuesday. Team up with us to prevent school violence. Wear your favorite team jersey or swag. Wednesday, Sock It to Silence. Crazy Socks Day. Thursday, look out for your community and your future by wearing college gear. Friday, Blue Out. Celebrate our school's community and show your school spirit. ASB has been working hard to finish decorations for our night pep rally and homecoming in 2 weeks. The schedule for our homecoming week is on October 3rd is a SIP day. On October 4th, we are having a Spirit Day of Throwback Tuesday. During lunch that day, we are having our HOCO food carnival for all clubs and organizations to sell food to students and staff. October 5th is our Spirit Day of Blue Pride. We are going to have a Blue Pride runway during lunch. On October 6th, our Spirit Day is Class Colors, where students will participate by showing their school spirit by wearing their class colors. The colors for our freshmen is pink and orange. For our sophomores, the colors are yellow and blue. For our juniors, the colors are purple and green. And for our seniors, the colors are red and black. Later that night, we will be having our annual night pep rally that will take place in our main gym at 7. On Friday, October 7th, the Spirit Day will be blackout for support of our homecoming game later that night. During lunch that day, the winners for all classes except seniors will be announced. The top 3 winners will be announced and be invited to the game to find out during halftime who won. On Saturday, October 8th, we will be having our homecoming dance at the Art Banquet in La Habra. Thank you guys for your time.
Well done. Now I wrote down homecoming. Thank you. And then Natalia, almost.
Good evening, Good evening, members of the Board of Education, District Administration, teachers, staff, and community members. My name is Natalia Olmos. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to inform you of events happening on our campus. Progress reports for the first quarter were issued on September 8th. Due to the upcoming ending of the first quarter, students are working really hard on their marks. Students from Salazar had the opportunity to participate in the campaign See Something, Say Something, which helps to raise awareness of suspicious activity. On Thursday, September 15th, our school had our first council meeting. Thank you to our parents and students who attended. Friday the 16th was Mexican Independence Day. Our students participated in contests for prizes to celebrate the day. Next week, Salazar will hold its PBIS kickoff to celebrate the school's PBIS system. Our kickoff will take place during lunch, where goodies will be given and raffles will take place for the whole school. Thank you very much for your time. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you for your reports. Very well done. And I noticed that both of you said the same program that you're adhering to, the See Something, Say Something. So it seems that that is being deployed throughout the district, which is a very positive. And actually, in today's environment, it's good advice. Thank you. Okay, the next would be awards. Number 9, awards and
We do. We have some awards and recognitions. Really exciting stuff. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to get used to clapping because we have some clapping to do this evening. And so, just kind of a little bit of the background. In August of 22, the College Board awarded 62,000 students from across the country with academic honors from the College Board National Recognition Programs for excelling in their classrooms and on College Board assessments. And so there were more than 180,000 students from all 50 states who were eligible to apply for the College Board National Recognition Programs, which grants students the academic honors that can be included on college and scholarship applications. Colleges and scholarship programs use these honors to identify students from underrepresented groups through College Board Students Search Services. So the following El Rancho High School students earned the National Hispanic Recognition Award because of their academic achievements in school and outstanding performances on the PSAT, the NMSQT, the PSAT 10, and or AP exams. So I'd like to bring up these students and call them by name. So these students accomplished these milestones during an immensely demanding period of their high school career. And so I'd like to go ahead and call the names and please welcome Natalie Avalos. Round of applause. And so we do have certificates for them. Perhaps we call them up, they stand, and maybe at the end we can go ahead and distribute the certificates in some order. And so maybe, Jasmine, would you maybe assist us with this? And we have Amy Flores. Please stand. Round of applause. Andrew Nieves. Antonio Carvajal. Ashley Torres. Brianna Gonzalez. Claudia Banuelos. Edson Figueroa. Eduardo Hernandez. Emilio Gonzalez. Giovanni Cabrera. Jenny Villarreal. Juliana Lemus. Lorelei Rojo. Miranda Gonzalez. Noel Gonzalez. Sarah Baroni. Sergio Plazas. Yadira Ramos. Ladies and gentlemen, board and everyone, let's give them a big round of applause for their great efforts and congratulations. So this is a big deal. They've really excelled in their academics and really demonstrated what El Rancho is all about. Demonstrating that academic achievement can happen at high levels, and really out of the whole country, having 20 students in our district that receive this recognition is really amazing. And once again, like I said, we're going to be clapping. Another big round of applause for these young boys and not boys and girls, students. So thank you for that. Would it be an appropriate time for them to come to you now?
Short. Okay, thank you for being here. I tell you, congratulations for all your hard work. Okay, the next item is public comments, items on the agenda. But before we start, I've got a long paragraph to read. And so we'll start. Just be patient, as I spent 2 minutes going through this. The Board of Trustees has established protocols that will allow the board to conduct the business of the district while also achieving the type of open communication that we all want in our community. The board values the input of parents, students, employees, and other members of the public. Our goal is to allow the free exchange of views among board members and its staff and between members of the public and the board while maintaining a respectful and orderly atmosphere. It is the board's policy to encourage all interested individuals to contribute constructive ideas and perspectives during the meeting while respecting the right of others to express their ideas and perspective. The board welcomes disagreement, but it is important that disagreements be expressed in a meaningful and respectful manner. Speakers shall not make personal attacks on other individuals. To promote these goals, we ask that everyone be courteous, patient, and respectful while others are speaking. Each speaker should feel free to express his or her viewpoints freely, but in a courteous and respectful way. Speaking concisely and within the allotted time members. Speakers should also avoid repeating what others have already said. Each speaker will be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes, and I'll say 3 minutes. A maximum of 15 minutes will be allotted per agenda item. Members of the public will not speak unless first recognized by the board president or the chairman, and will only speak from the podium, not directly from the audience at any time. Thank you. So we will go forward with identifying those speakers who have provided their blue cards.
So the blue card first is Lilia Carrion.
Good evening, Arancho community. I'm Lilia Carrion, president of Arancho Federation of Teachers, and I just have a couple of questions. I read the presentation on the multi-purpose modernization project, and I'm just curious, like who was involved? Was there teacher participation in designing and giving feedback of what these rooms are supposed to look like? And when were these meetings held? And the reason I asked that question is when we did the innovation labs a couple of years ago, there was little participation of teachers. So things that were put in these labs were not really appropriate for kids. Like they picked white furniture. Who puts white furniture in a room for kids under the age of 12? I remember the sinks were too high for the kinder kids. They put the TV over the sink, which was dangerous if you were trying to reach the TV. So I'm just curious when this occurred, when the planning happened. On paper, they look great, but where was the feedback from the employees who are going to be working with these rooms? And then my other item I'd like to address is the 13.C in the standing agenda. I do appreciate that you will include the union partners in this item. Sometimes as union leaders, we have more questions. I know you can't answer me, but I'm just curious, if we're on the agenda, will we be able to ask questions of cabinet and the board if we're on the agenda? Or is it just an opportunity for us to share our concerns or our thoughts on issues that are occurring in the district? I'm not sure what role we'll play in that. Just know that on my end, I don't plan to use up a lot of time of the district and at the board meetings, but I do come up when it does impact our membership. And do we have a time frame? Like, is it 3 minutes or do we get 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How would that work? So I don't know who I should address those questions to. Would that be our soup or would it be the board president? So those are just some of the thoughts I have. Okay? And lastly, teachers were showing me the booklets that were sent to classrooms listing different items. I do appreciate that was sent out to staff. It has been ages since I've seen anything like that in our classrooms. That's updated information. I know we still have more work to do, but thank you for the first step of ensuring the safety of our students and our employees. Thank you.
Okay.
So next we have Tony Hernandez.
Good evening, board, cabinet, community. First, I'd like to congratulate the students also, for what they accomplished this evening. I would also like to thank the district for item 17C, number 3. This has been a purchase of vehicles that's been a long time coming, and I know our maintenance teams would appreciate, our IT staff. They're pulling the vehicles when they go to the school sites, so I'm glad that we're finally going to upgrade this equipment, so that they can work efficiently. Item 13C, just as Lil said, this is a great idea. I hope we can get this started soon, but if there is a discussion tonight where there's conversations that need to be had, maybe we can be included in that conversation if you guys need input on that. 12A, the discontinuance of the Montebello bus line route. I know this was pulled from the agenda, but I hope that we all understand that this is going to be a burden to both our students and our staff. We have a lot of staff who are commuting through that bus line, who are getting to work, And so I'm not sure what detriment this will have, but we need to be considerate if this does happen that staff might be late or face whatever consequence that brings. Um, when we had the meeting with the city, or not, I'm sorry, here at City Hall, but with the Montebello company, we asked the question, what kind of outreach was done with the community? There wasn't much. So the data that they used to validate their reasons for closing the line seemed a little skewed. They changed the bus routes so that it was harder for people to get and use the line. They are basically going back and saying, "Oh, there's no comments made." I'm sorry, but there was enough people to bring concern. Even city council members were here, so board members were here. Thank you for being here. Lastly, 12B. I'm happy to see that the multipurpose rooms are getting upgraded. Not too long ago, the temperatures were over triple digits, and for those that work in the kitchens, they were literally cooking in there. So I hope that this project gets underway so that we all have a cool place to sit, eat, and work. Thank you.
Those are all the blue cards we have.
Okay, thank you. So we'll proceed with the public comments that are not on the agenda, the yellow comment cards. So here I go with another description of our rules. Maybe I can get these sort of slimmed down a little bit next meeting. Okay, the Board of Trustees has established protocols that will allow the board to conduct the business of the district while also achieving the type of open communication that we all want in our community. The board values the input of parents, students, employees, and other members of the public. Our goal is to allow the free exchange of views among board members and its staff and between members of the public and the board while maintaining a respectful and orderly atmosphere. It is the board's policy to encourage all interested individuals to contribute constructive ideas and perspectives during the meeting while respecting the right of others to express their ideas and perspectives. The board welcomes disagreement. It is important that disagreements be expressed in a meaningful and respectful manner. Speakers should not make personal attacks on other individuals. To promote these goals, we ask that everyone be courteous, patient, and respectful while others are speaking. Each speaker should feel free to express his or her viewpoint freely, but in a courteous and respectful way, speaking concisely and within the allotted time limits. Speakers should also try to avoid repeating what others have already said. Each speaker will be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. A maximum of 15 minutes will be allotted per agenda item. Members of the public will not speak unless first recognized by the board president, chairperson, and will speak only from the podium, not directly from the audience at any time. Thank you. So we can proceed with our yellow cards.
Okay, with yellow cards, we have Tony Hernandez.
Hello again. I understand that the See Something, Say Something campaign is on the agenda, and I probably could have spoke a little more to that during the items on the agenda section, but it's going to launch next week. And part of the campaign features a public service announcement that we filmed a number of students giving a message to our community. And El Rancho has talent. Our students are amazing. They're willing to get on camera. They do a great job. And in this video, they did a great job. But it made it one of the most fun projects I've had to work on, but also one of the most difficult projects I had to work on, because throughout that filming and the editing, I was thinking of what if something happened to these kids? Thinking about how if something that we don't do fails them and they get hurt. I'm not again not talking about the technical side, but just the safety side. CSEA has asked for the hiring of the vacant school police position and a solid police chief position. I've had conversations with board members and other administrators, but I keep hearing that the board policy on school police needs to be updated. So where's the update? We've been talking about some of this stuff for 2 years. There's rumors flying around out there that I'm not going to mention, but I just hope that they're not true. I truly hope that we consider the safety of our students and faculty fully. I'm thankful that we will now participate in active shooter training for especially our 10-month employees, people who are in the classrooms who will be affected. However, I do think we need to do more. Prior to the recall, the old board removed the school resource officer and was working to eliminate the school police. During the recall, the message was loud and clear. We support our police. I have heard concerns from parents, staff, and the community. I've seen the gaps in our safety. And so this evening, I'm saying something. We need to do something. On another note, our staff are working at 150% right now. And I know we have a lot of vacancies. I know we have a lot of shortages in staff. We have sub shortages, supply shortages. But I hope that we're supportive of our staff because these are hard times. And for everyone, I hate using the word unprecedented because it almost feels normal now. But these are unprecedented times. And so please show appreciation to your staff. Thank you for understanding.
Another yellow card, Leonel Barreda.
How are you? Um, my name is Lionel Beretta. I'm a parent of two students here in El Rancho Unified. Pleasure, President, Superintendent, and other ladies and gentlemen of the board. I wanted to come here to bring a respectful dialogue forward. I've had wonderful conversations initially with a few different members of staff. However, as a parent, I was able to participate in the back to school night for my son, who's attending El Rancho High School. I was really concerned with the overall conditions of the facility. I don't want to mix bond projects with cleanliness. That's a custodial issue. We have deferred maintenance and regular routine maintenance. Now, all of these sound really can be really convoluted or difficult to understand for a lot of us parents. But I will say that where I understand it's difficult, the cleanliness of the campus is not up to par. Exterior, interior. I saw many items that were deficient. Restroom stalls for students that were missing locks. Urinals that didn't have any privacy partitions upon opening the door. There were 9x9 vinyl asbestos tiles that were broken, cracked, that pose an immediate problem to students because the chairs are still in those places where those tiles are broken. I saw peeling paint. We have lead issues, obviously, that we take training for within our employees. More importantly, I really want to support the teachers within El Rancho. My son has wonderful teachers, so does my daughter. However, when I went through the classrooms, I find it very difficult for my son, to focus within class, given the conditions of some of his classrooms, the tripping hazards, and various other items. So this isn't meant to be negative. I understand that we have a bond measure that's passed. I know that we're making ground and moving forward. However, what I don't want to do is be so understanding that we don't address the general cleaning, some of the deferred maintenance projects that should be addressed for the sake of saying, well, we're going to replace the building eventually. My son is in 10th grade. The bond came up when he was in fifth grade, 6th grade, somewhere in there. So at what point do we as parents start to say, please talk to me about what's happening for the regular upkeep and maintenance within those classrooms so that he can learn without obstruction and distraction, and so the teachers can teach in an environment that is conducive to that learning and teaching for students. Again, I've had wonderful conversations. This is just an initial dialogue. I want to say thank you guys for the people who have spoken to me thus far, and I hope that we can, again, begin a dialogue about what we're going to do about the conditions. Again, I know there's some hiring issues. That's a budget issue, but I know that we have custodians. I know we have overtime. I know we have contracts for cleanliness that can be utilized to address the immediate improvement of classrooms. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Those are all the comments we have.
My goodness, that's quick. Thank you for all your comments. We're listening, and we'll probably make comments during our board comments at the appropriate time. Okay, so the next item is 12, informational items. We will proceed with the presentation of the multi-purpose room modernization project at 8 elementary schools.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and cabinet members. Thank you for the opportunity to present these multi-purpose modernization projects. My name is John Gomer. I'm a principal and senior project manager at Westburg White, and I've had direct working on this project with my team members at the office. These 8 schools are very important to the elementary schools and to the kids that are going to be using them. So we are taking great care in updating these things to where they can use them and utilize them for a variety of uses and needs. Because right now they're just cafeterias that really need a lot of rehabilitation, especially mechanical conditioning. So these schools, the main scope of these schools is getting new HVAC, new lighting, new ceilings, roof and wall insulation, stage lighting, speakers, microphones, projector screens and projectors, LED monitors, and then interior finishes and AD upgrades, which are all very necessity for these areas. The schedule for this is we're going to be going to DSA in December of 2022. We will then receive approval approximately in March of 2023, and then start construction in summer of 2023 and ending in the summer of 2024. Some schools will probably finish sooner than the 12-month period, but we've allotted that period of time to take into account for the lack of materials that are now extending construction times and lead times, and also trying to obtain that stuff sooner so we can get them on the site sooner. The budget for each school is estimated at $1.9 million, with a total of just under $14 million for all 8 schools total. And we are actually going to be receiving our design development cost estimate tomorrow that I will be sharing with the district, and we will see where we fall with that, and then we will modify and discuss from that point. So I'm excited to see what those numbers come in at and see how closely everything falls. This is a typical floor plan for the 8 schools that each school will receive. However, there's 1 or 2 schools that do not have a platform. So what they would be getting is some additional toilet rooms that are attached to right next to the building versus being upgraded to the building that right outside. So we're trying to provide as much equity as we can for each school. All the floors, they have a choice of 3 different design materials on the floor, either a series of rectangles or squares or a combination of the 2. And the discussions that this district had with the principals, they got to choose which kind of patterns they wanted to see. Each pattern and each of the interior finishes will have schools related to their campus as closely as possible, because not every, the gradients of color, obviously you can't get for every single material, so we try to complement as best we can. The base palette will be gray fields, and then the highlights will be the actual colors of the schools. The platforms will also be refinished. They'll either get new VCT flooring, or the wood floor will be sanded down and restained to a dark finish again. And so everything's going to get a nice fresh look and appearance to it, which I think the kids are going to like. Want to move to the next slide, please? So this is kind of an idea of what you're going to see on the interior of each school for those that have the platforms. The walls every school will look virtually like this. The bottom row is a hard surface material, so when somebody puts their feet up on the wall, they're easy to clean or they get scuff marks. It's very durable finish. The middle banner is a tackable surface where the students will be able to display their artwork, or announcements can be posted up there. And it's a self-healing material, so after a while, when you take the pins out, the holes will cover themselves up after a period of time. And then the top banner you see there are acoustical panels to help bring the sound down and absorb a lot of the echoes that might happen in there because there's a lot of hard surfaces on the ceiling and on the floor. A lot of the schools right now have a drop ceiling with 2x4 light fixtures or large overhead fans. The system that we show here is an exposed ceiling system where the trusses and the glulam beams of the actual structure are exposed and painted black with the drywall finish underneath. And then the ductwork, which will be new ductwork, is going to be exposed. And it kind of brings the ambience where the kids have a larger space to look up and they can kind of get an idea of how buildings come together. And they just kind of, have their minds wander and figure out how that happens. The two monitors on the side are the large LCD screens that you see there. And then in the far back is the projector for the other programs and so forth. Next slide. And here's another example. This is actually North Ranchito, but again, it's a different flooring that you see here, a flooring design, and then the color palette is slightly changed. However, the layout is all the same. And then finally, this is you see the other flooring pattern that's what's shown here, where the patterns are intermixed with the square and the rectangles. Any questions?
Before the board members pose questions, can you, John or Charlotte, can you address the various design phases, especially programming, and share with us who was participating in the programming of these spaces?
I was part of the process from the very beginning when it was originally just it had an HVAC retrofit project. And then it was decided by board members and school members to use the bond money the way it should be meant and to renovate it for the entire thing. Just don't put new HVAC units up on the roof. It needed to be dressed up. It needed to have the dangerous things take out of it, the asbestos or the lead, and to renovate all the materials to fresh new materials. So it was a very good decision that the school board decided to do to change that and use it. And we started implementing that during this schematic phase. We're at the tail end of the design development phase now. And then once that gets approved with the budget, with the estimate that you see, then we'll move to the construction document phase, which will take us into DSA at the end of the year.
But once again, yeah, Charlotte, if you could take that question, please.
Good evening, board president, board, cabinet, superintendent. So we did have committees for these campuses. We had committees specific to each campus, and then I shared the committee input from other campuses with each campus so that they also got what other committees had discussed and what their recommendations and preferences were. And in terms of who was at these meetings, the principal was given 4 to 6 weeks to create these communities. I requested, if possible, food service representation. When I didn't get that, I went directly to the director of food service, and we talked about some of the information that was gathered at these meetings and the scope of work as it relates to the areas affected by the food service program. Teachers were involved. They were present. Media, tech, and librarian representatives, custodians at most of the sites came because there were some issues related to existing materials, difficult to maintain. That we are going to the HVT flooring that we put in at the high school last summer as a test, and our custodians love it because they don't have to wax it any longer and they can buff it with just a white pad. It's very simple to clean. The food services component included things like I can replace the fly fans, which are not COVID friendly. I can assist with storage opportunities where we had dead-end hallways which couldn't be made compliant, working with them to provide them additional internal storage. They do have shortfalls, then that's something outside of our scope. And then we had parents and community members. So I hope that it helps to address who was in these meetings.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we'll start. We have questions, naturally, and comments. Mrs. Mejia?
Thank you for the presentation. Just to piggyback on some of the questions that our union representatives put out. So thank you for letting us know that there was some teachers and staff, but I didn't hear anything about any REACH staff, after-school staff.
Yes. At some of this, because we had some of these meetings at the same time as the after-school programs, they too were involved in these meetings. I had a couple of sites that they were in attendance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that additional information. I would recommend that we keep our union presidents, give them some information. That way everyone knows. I did watch the CBOC meeting where Ms. Clemens presented to CBOC as far as this presentation of, what was happening. I did speak to a couple of teachers and they weren't aware of it. So teachers are not aware. There's some teachers that are not aware, so we need to do a better job on informing our not only our teachers, but also our classified staff. That way we're all on the same page and we all know what's happening. It's really exciting. The facilities really needed it. They need it, and it's going to be a great multi-purpose room. My other question would be, Rivera does not have a stage, so what's the component there, since they don't have an actual stage? If you could share that with the community, that'd be great.
We are actually adding a much-needed additional bathroom in there. Right now, there's a non-compliant bathroom, single accommodation one. That one's being fully renovated, and then there's a small storage room next to it that we're going to convert into another all-gender bathroom. So there'll be two new all-gender bathrooms, both the same size, and then tucked in there will be a drinking fountain with a bottle filler. All the schools get the drinking fountains and bottle fillers, but that's kind of tied into that area.
Great, thank you. And then just my last question would be, as far as, I thank you for having the budget included on here, just when we could start seeing like year-to-date figures. You have your, how much was encumbered. I know that there might be some ESSER funds as well for the HVAC part of the cafeterias.
In this particular project, the ESSER,
Absolutely none.
the ESSER funds are not being used in this. The ESSER funds are only being used for like replacement at the elementary schools, because the multipurpose rooms don't have HVAC right now. We could not use the ESSER 3 funds for that.
But there is an HVAC project that's separate.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
Yeah, just confirming, I know you've already asked the question, but did the teachers and staff, the committee, did they also see the design? Or was it just the beginning conversations that they were a part of?
They did see some of the designs, and they, I don't know if they've seen the latest ones, but they did see the progress at the beginning. And now that we have the DD set out, I'm sure they're going to be, sent those as well to see what that is.
And just agreeing with Ms. Mejia, making sure that all teachers are aware, because I also talked to some teachers and they weren't aware, and it's such an exciting project, and just to make sure that, because if we don't get buy-in, we're doing all this, and, like Ms. Carrion mentioned, we want to make sure that it's being used, and it's being used effectively. And then my second question, which I don't know if it comes in now, but the cafeteria area is very, very used by so many things. While you're under constructions, like, are there plans to what's going to happen to that? Like, where the students are going to go, like, where they're going to eat? Like, is that part of conversations already, or does that come later?
That's going to probably come in this next phase while it's a DSA. Then we'll decide and talk with the schools to see where we can put the students during this construction process. It hasn't all been worked out yet. I know some schools might be getting, shading elements or whatever during this period, and they might be temporary until they get back into the multi-purpose room. But it's not all been vetted out yet.
Yeah, if you can, in the future, just give us that information, because I'm curious, if we start in the summer, right, and they're under shade and it's like 90+ degrees, so it's like just those details, and I know they're being worked out, but if we can get that information once it comes. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Marino?
A couple of questions. Thank you for all this information. Was there parent participation in these discussions as this was being planned? My first question.
I'm sorry, was that parent or student participation?
parent participation.
We did have parent participation, and at a couple of the meetings, we had student participation. And in terms of Rivera, I do want to circle back to that. They will get a projection screen. They will get area mics. They will get a projector, an interactive projector to work with the projection screens, and they will get the overhead micro speakers throughout the building. It will feel like the same. And then Alma had, Mrs. Renteria, has the outdoor back face of the building that she wants to develop as the stage. And we offered, because we weren't able to give her the shade shelter, DSA does not require review of shade trees. They have very good large shade trees we could put in that area without having to go to DSA to accommodate the shade component.
Thank you. As far as the communication, it is, I would say it's a matter of working closely, facilities, working closely with the site administrators to ensure that the communication is flowing in terms of what's being planned and what the progress is. This is really important so that not only staff, certificated, classified, know what's going on, but also our parents as well. So because I see this strictly as a site administrator responsibility for the communication to keep flowing. As long as they receive the information from facilities, that certainly can happen. Now, in terms of, I know the plans are being submitted to DSA, so I want to circle back to what Ms. Perez said earlier in terms of when work begins and students are displaced from the multipurpose room, and at that time, since what you said was that will be coming the next phase. Will that create any changes to DSA because we know of the delays and the cost when there are changes?
No, DSA doesn't really look at the fact where students are displaced and where they're going to be housed temporarily. They know that, people get squished and pushed into different areas during these times, but they don't ask to see a staging plan or where that's going to happen for that phasing, unless it's going to be a permanent fixture or that they're going to be later on.
I understand.
Let me jump in and answer that. So once we determine, once we have a better idea exactly when this is going to come out of DSA and once it's going to go to bid and once we know exactly when construction will start, we will, facilities, and I will work with site administration to make sure that the students have a place to eat and to, do other activities that are currently done in the MPRs. What we will definitely make sure that they have some place for that.
Thank you. And this is also something that I see for the site administrator to work closely with the superintendent's office in terms of the relocation of students during the construction phase. But overall, this is really exciting to see that finally, after so many years, something is being done to modernize the MPRs. I still remember in Valencia, those hot, sweaty summers. So, I taught there. So to see this happening across all of the elementary schools, it's really definitely beyond exciting. So thank you so much. And, one other recommendation I was going to make. If you can provide periodic updates, not so much for the benefit of the board, but for the community and staff in terms of what's being planned, where we are, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Rivera?
Thank you. I really do like the duct work that they did along the wall. That's real strategic, the way it's was designed out. I'm guessing that the duct work taps into the existing AC that we have there. Is that correct?
No, we're getting new AC units.
We're going to get new AC.
Yeah, the other ones are just deteriorated and so forth, yes.
I don't see it. Within the scope of the work, I didn't catch it, so thank you for sharing that. So each of these, each of the schools are gonna get new ACs for those rooms then, right?
That is correct.
So I also appreciate that the issues of ADA were present, accessible water fountains, accessible wheelchair lift, ADA sinks with cabinets, ADA toilet room. I was just wondering, at the entrance, the door entrance, usually with ADA, they have some type of leverage ramps so they can bring in the wheelchairs. Are those doors just flush to the ground, or are they elevated to accommodate a wheelchair?
Now, those areas where the paving is sloped outside the doorway will be reworked to where it's a level surface for a wheelchair to get in. We can't leave it the way it is, so there will be, some schools will receive more site work than others if based on the entrances into the building. And we're actually going to be planning another site visit soon to go out there and take care of those items to make sure they all comply.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we provide those accommodations for our special needs students. A couple other more questions. And in the scope of the work, I don't see emergency alerts or emergency lights inside the rooms there. Is that going to be available, or is that going to be placed inside those rooms?
You
In the
mean
event like there's a fire drill or emergency or something,
well,
to alert them?
the fire alarm in that area will be upgraded. And so there'll be new devices put in those areas with new occupancy sensors and either smoke detectors or heat detectors in there. And then the proper signage to get students in and out of the area. That's the extent. I mean, there's no other system as far as that we're providing.
And those alarms will both be visual and auditory, correct?
They are, yes. They have to be, yes.
And my last
Strobes
question, I
as
know
well.
that, the last year or so, we've been really concerned about air purifiers and clean air. Would we bring it, will the district will be bringing in the air scrubbers into those rooms when we have a large amount of students in there? Or how are we going to mediate that in terms of the air quality?
As far as the air quality go, these units are going to be housed with deionization sensors and MERV 13 filters, which are very high quality filters. And also, there's black lights that are in there to help kill the mold and all the microscopic organisms before the air enters into the buildings. That's a standard that we put in all the units nowadays.
That's really great to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rivera. I guess I'm the one with the tough questions. I was looking at the floor plan here, and we're just talking about the cafeteria and the dining area. Are there any plans for the kitchen areas?
That is a different phase. All the kitchens are going to be upgraded at a different time. It was more of a funding mechanism that the district decided to put that as a separate line item. So all the kitchens will be addressed under a different project. So,
Make a note about that because I don't think that we were aware that that was a different phase of the project. And I will make a comment that we first started with this project where it was approved in November of 2020. And I've been asking, what's the status of it? And as I go through my materials, we've had two different facilities manager working with you. First one was there for 6 months, and then Charlotte came on board. So there's been a timing gap with our resources within the district. So my question I have is, what were the challenges you faced in the last couple of years in working with the district? Because it's 2 years, and we're just in design. And theoretically, by your own schedule, you should have been done by January of 2022. So,
right.
so the challenges have been there, and I just wanted to understand what could we have done better.
Well, there's a number of things. I mean, there was a lot of staff changes within the district, so people wanted to take another look at it and add things and take away things. So we had to redevelop some of our schematic designs. But it also And it was a lot of timing because of it, because we had to wait for certain things. And it's not all district stuff, but when you have delays or changes in personnel, you have to kind of have a period of stopping for a while and waiting for people to regroup. And then you want to go ahead and talk to your principals and talk to your teachers to see the direction that we're going in now. Are you okay with it? Is that all right? And so all that takes time, unfortunately. And then we had scope changes, like before it was originally HVAC, so that was one schedule we put together. And then it went to a multi-purpose, and that was another schedule we put together. And then you had staff changes. So it just kind of adds up. Now the last 7-8 months, Charlotte and I have been just rolling along, getting this thing going, and we're hitting that December, deadline to go into DSA. I've promised her, and I promise you that we'll get it into DSA in December, because I don't know if you're aware, next year code changes, and we don't want to deal with that. So we're hitting December.
Okay, so you're aware of those code, we found out about the code changes probably about a month ago. So we are aware that the faster the designs are submitted, the least likely we're going to have to go through some design changes. Question I have is, I feel that at this current point that you have your site representatives in place with all your input that you require and reviews at all these campuses. So I feel a degree of confidence that that's okay for now. But I have another question. When you do your construction, is it possible to do that concurrently at the sites?
Construction concurrent as far as what?
You have 6 schools.
Yeah, so
Well, you have 6 construction crews at each school?
yeah, you can. So what happens is these are going in as 8 separate projects to DSA, because that's what we're required to. But we can package it up during bidding as one complete package, and you can get either a big contractor to bid it, or we can break it up in sub packages to get smaller contractors to bid it. But they would all start at the same time, depending upon their crews. And I'm sure part of your bidding documents will say, we want to know how many people you're going to be able to staff on each site, because we want to make sure those contractors have enough people to work on each project. So it's incumbent upon them to provide you the information to make sure they can do the work.
Okay, that sounds good, because now we all have the supply chain issue, and you still have to deal with that. So you might even have a scattering of schedules because of not having material in place in time for some of the construction.
Well, what we've been doing that on past projects, and we really instill it now, is every material that's ordered now is considered a long lead item. Or carpet wasn't a long lead item. Now it is, So we require the contractors to provide all their submittals within the first month or month and a half right away, so we can review them and they can get their materials ordered immediately. Because there is a time gap, especially with electrical equipment and HVAC equipment. They take months nowadays to get, and we want to order those as early as possible. So that's one of the first things when we bring on the contractor and we go to those meetings is you get us the submittals in right away so we can get those things going.
Okay, I think that answers my questions for now, but thank you for your work. Thank you for being patient and working with our staff turnovers. And I believe Charlotte's done a very good job to sort of create that environment for us to ensure continuity of our projects. But I do want to know about the kitchens at a future time and when we can do that. But thank you. Do you have a question or comment?
I was going to weigh in quickly with regard to how the construction is done. Almost certainly, we will want to get this bid out as early as possible. The reality may be that there may not be enough contractors in each trade for the projects to go concurrently, but for sure we'll want them bid out so we can lock in the pricing. We'll do the procurement early on, and then we'll determine if there's enough workforce to do it concurrently, then we'll absolutely do that. But the reality is the workforce may not be there. So we'll have to be strategic once we determine that.
So now we have construction workers that are limited as well as our teachers. So we have workforce problems everywhere. Thank you. Okay. And on the budget.
Good evening, President Castillo, members of the board, cabinet, and educational partners. Tonight, I'm going to be presenting an updated 2022-2023 revenue and budget report. There it goes. The focus tonight, we're going to be talking about additional revenue throughout California for TK-12 in the final state budget and how it impacts El Rancho specifically. We're also going to be talking about the impacts of declining enrollment, and then finally addressing how those two items are going to affect our multi-year projections. So instead of building suspense up to what the ending fund balance is going to look like over the multi-year, I thought we would start with that and just show you that we ended last year at approximately $14 million in our ending fund balance for the unrestricted budget. By the end of this year, we're projecting $20.3 million. At the end of 23-24, we'll be at $24 million. And at the third year in the multi-year projection, we'll be at $24.7 million. So those are definitely very healthy reserves. And now I'm just going to go over very quickly how we got to all those numbers. So the El Rancho budget was developed using assumptions from LACO based on the governor's May revise. Since that time, the legislators and the governor agreed to a significant amount of additional revenue. So specifically, there's an additional 6.28% COLA in the LCFF, which resulted in about $3.5 million for El Rancho. Expanded Learning Opportunities Program additional allocation of almost $5 million, and we do have until 23-24 to spend that. There are two new block grants. One is the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, which is $12.2 million, and we have all the way until 27-28 to spend that. And the Art, Music, Instructional Materials Discretionary Block Grant, $4.5 million, and we have until 25-26 to spend that. The total of all that is approximately $25 million. The vast majority of that being in the restricted. Now, this is great news, and I don't want to like rain on the parade or present doom and gloom, but it is important to also talk about how declining enrollment is affecting the district. So this chart is a little difficult to read, but the reason I have it here is, so if you see on the vertical axis, it starts at 0. And a lot of times figures can be distorted by playing with the axes. But I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to show that this district has had significant declining enrollment. And if you look at this chart, the peak of enrollment was back in 2002 at 12,333 students. And since that time, the district has lost 5,100 students, or about 42%. This last year, so from last year to this year, the district has lost 400 students. So that has a significant financial impact. So although the short-term news is wonderful, related to the additional infusion of revenue from the state, we have to be realistic and look at how declining enrollment is going to impact the long-term financial future of the district. This chart's a little bit easier to read, and what I want to highlight here, this only goes back to 2005-06. If you look at the red trend line in the upper left, that is the decline in the years approaching the last recession. And that was also approaching the years where the district, because of the economics, was forced to close 4 schools. Now, if you take that red trend line and you apply it to what we're looking at now, from 2020-21 to 22-23, you're going to see that the decline in enrollment is actually more severe now than it was back in 2005-06. Looking at the possible causes of declining enrollment, so of course we have declining birth rates statewide. The pandemic definitely had an impact, and there are economic pressures throughout Los Angeles County which are causing parents and families to move up north, Central California, and move to the eastern counties. Almost all districts are experiencing this, and El Rancho is no exception to that. I also want to talk a little bit about cohort progression analysis, and this is something that we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a very in-depth dive into cohort progression analysis as we get closer to first interim. But I want to give you a sneak preview and kind of show you what we look at when we're looking at how the students move through the grade levels. So I'll go through these 3 slides relatively quickly. But if you look at the green step down from 2014-15 all the way to 2019-2020, you're going to see the first graders in 2014-2015, there were 648. And then as we go through the years, that declines all the way till 639. So that's following that cohort through the grades. The important thing to look at here is back in 2020, with the cohort progression, we only lost 9 students, whereas more recently, due in large part to COVID and also the economic pressures, we lost 59 students. Looking at the next level of cohort progression analysis, back in 2020, we lost 28 students, and then that more than doubled to 55 more recently. And then finally, when we're looking at the high school level, back in 2020, and this is consistent, once upon a time, the cohort would increase. So it increased by 19 here, but looking at previous years, it always increased. And there's several theories, one of which is that many students leave the private schools and go to El Rancho High School because of the opportunities that the high school provides those students. But in 2023, the cohort actually declined by 16 students. And we'll go into this in much more detail as we approach first interim. So looking at the actual budget assumptions that we use to forecast the ending fund balance through the next 3 years, on the revenue side, we stuck with the LACO assumptions at adopted budget of 5.38% COLA next year and a 4.02% COLA in 24-25. Declining enrollment, whereas we did lose 400 students this year, we're going to be a little bit cautious and not just automatically assume that it's going to be 400 students over the next 2 years. So we dialed that down using cohort progression analysis to inform the numbers, and we're only projecting a decline of 338 students in each of the 2 out years. On the expenditure side, the assumption that we're using here is simply the spending down of the block grants. So we get the block grants this year, but we do have to spend them down over the next few years. Now, in looking at the actual fund balance, so on the top line, at adopted budget, the ending fund balance in this year was approaching 29 million. Next year, 30.4, and in the final year of the multi-year projection, 31.5 million. Additional revenue, as I've mentioned before, is $25.1 million. And looking at LCF, we increased this year from 96 to 99.5. Next year, from 96.4 to 90, up to almost 100 mil. And in 24-25, 97.6 to 98.3. Now, the important thing to look at here is in that final column in 24-25, you'll see that the change in LCFF is nowhere nearly as great as in the other 2 years. It's only $666,000. The reason for that is by 24-25, the decline in enrollment is going to finally catch up with us, and it is going to almost outpace the COLAs that are being presented. And of course, going out to further years, you will then start to see a decline, because at that point in time, not only will it be outpacing the COLAs, it will be negating the COLAs. On the expenditure side, we're looking at spend down of supplemental and concentration this year of 1.2 million. Then on the spending down of the block grants, I'm just going to read the totals. In this year, we're going to spend down about 6.8 million. Next year, 5.6, and the final year, 3.1. So the updated fund balance, and I'm just going to show this geographically instead of reading the numbers. So looking at the red line there, that was the ending fund balance, and at this point we're talking about unrestricted and restricted. So that was the ending fund balance at adopted budget. With the infusion of the $25 million and all of the other assumptions we mentioned about COLA and declining enrollment, we're now going to be at the end of this year at 49.6. Next year, 48.9 million, and then the final year of the multi-year, 47.5 million. Going back to the unrestricted fund balance, which I showed earlier, I'm going to come back to this. I'm just going to go to the next slide and just give a few words of caution here. And I don't really want to beat anybody over the head with this. I don't want to present doom and gloom, but at the same time, we really do have to recognize that declining enrollment is going to have a significant and lasting impact on this district, and it will definitely outpace the COLAs. On top of that, we're looking at some severe economic pressures facing this district as well as districts throughout Los Angeles County. So we're seeing inflation now, which of course is driving up the cost of current year supplies and services as well as in the future years. And we're on the horizon is another recession, which is going to impact revenue and potentially expenditures, but for sure revenue. Looking at this from a historical perspective, for those of us who don't remember, I just want to reinforce that the state will not hesitate to balance their budget on our back. They will always balance their budget on the back of TK-12. That is just what they do. So we need to be aware of that as we look to the future, that although there's this great infusion of one-time money, the decline in enrollment and the economy are going to take a toll on our financials. And actually, can you go back to the ending fund balance slide, please? There we go. So I just want to show this to you one last time, and you can see that we have a steady increase for a couple of years in ending fund balance, and then it starts to level out. And I also want to point out that this is based on the COLA of more than 5% next year and more than 4% the year after. I played around with this a little bit today, and if we take those assumptions down to 3% and 2%, we're going to lose at least $6 million in that last year. So it will have a quick and significant impact if the state takes back the COLA based on the state of the California economy at that time. So moving forward then, so looking forward at first interim, we're going to be doing a complete cohort progression analysis. We're going to look at updated ADA as well as labor projections. And we're going to, tonight was mostly revenue, but in first interim, we'll be taking a look at updated revenue and expenditures. We definitely need to move forward with convening a budget advisory committee. So that'll be a lot of planning and preparation through the end of 2022. And it's expected to convene no later than early January of 2023, and quite possibly earlier if we can really put the pedal to the metal and get all of our research done now. And it's important to note that we're going to have educational partner representation in that budget advisory committee. I also want to point out, looking forward, we talked about first interim. There has been a board request to present how the district utilized all of the ESSER and all those funding. We weren't prepared to present that tonight, but we will be able to present that in October. And that is all I have to present tonight, and I'm here to take your questions.
Okay, Ms. Mejia?
Mr. Hacker, thank you for the presentation. If we go to the additional revenue second slide, I know that in the past when I've attended some CSBA webinars for the arts, music, and instructional materials discretionary block grant, it's been suggested that it's a possible use for STIRS and PERS. I would like to know if that would be one of your recommendations, because the grant in itself, art and music, is great. I hope we could use that, but it's very misleading because what we were told is most likely we would have to use those funds to cover STIRS and PERS.
Well, I mean, yes, the increasing contributions for STIRS and PERS are troubling, and this was something that the state put out, and look, everyone advocated to get some STIRS and PERS relief, and the state's response was, well, we can't do that, but we're giving you all this extra revenue so you could use it for that. And it's true. I mean, it's completely, it's flexible. We could use it for that. I think we wait till first interim, see where the district is at that time, see how how the district is handling the additional contributions, and if necessary, we could definitely tap into this block grant for that.
Thank you. And I know that my second question is, I know you did some projections, enrollment projections. We did have Davis Demographics do a study. We haven't seen anything yet. Was any of that information included with this presentation?
It was not. So we have had ongoing communication with Davis Demographics. What we'd like to do at this point in time, because of the drop in enrollment of 400 students this year, although it was not in the original scope of Davis Demographics to look at this year's data, I'd like to have them change the scope and look at this year's data and then do updated demographic projections based not just on the prior 2 years, but the current year also. We're still looking to have some good numbers from Davis Demographics sometime in the next 6 weeks then. Even incorporating this year's numbers, it won't delay it that much. So we're definitely going to have that in the next 6 weeks to 2 months at the latest.
Great, thank you. And then as far as staying on enrollment, would you know offhand how many students we lost? I know as far as in-person instruction is always the best, always. But how many students did we lose from that program when we came back? Because I know a lot of the other school districts, they promote, like, it's a virtual academy. And so how many students were lost from independent studies? Would you happen to know that?
I wouldn't, but I would imagine there are some people sitting to my right who might.
And I can get you the exact numbers. We didn't really lose a lot of people going to other school districts because of the change in having students transition back to in-person instruction. They did transition back to our schools. Very minimal amount of students that we may have lost, but I will get you those numbers.
Thank you, appreciate that. Last one is just, I'm really happy to see that there's a budget advisory committee. I'm hoping that they meet regularly, and as you mentioned, all educational partners representation is very important to me, and I'm sure to the rest of my colleagues as well. Thank you.
Ms. Perez?
Uh, Echoing what Ms. Mejia said, thank you so much for the presentation and just the details. So thank you for that. I know I sent you an email, and I know you mentioned that we're looking at the demographics, but I just pulled up the U.S. census, right? 2021, approximately. Obviously, it's not for sure, but it's about 61,000 in the city. About 21,000 of that are people under the age of 18. Obviously, it's rough numbers, but I was looking at it's about 13,000 a estimate. And looking at the numbers, so I am curious. I hope that the board we do have like a follow up conversation, because I know when I worked for the charter school, they knocked on every door in every city, and that's how they got a lot of the students and a lot of students from local districts, because they put so much effort into recruitment. And so I do hope that, outside of your scope, but I hope that as a board, as a district, we look back into seeing like how many students, because right now I feel like it's just theories, but I am curious to see, like really, really emphasizing recruitment, echoing, what amazing things like the students that we just talked about today, like echoing that, campaigning that to really change, the vision of the district. So I just wanted to come, but I know you're going to give more information on that, so I'm looking forward to that. So that's all. Thank you.
I know you really tried very hard not to present a doom and gloom projection, so thank you for that. But nonetheless, we certainly face some doom and gloom in the future unless we have a boost in our enrollment. So I agree if we embark or think about an aggressive enrollment campaign with such things as, and focus on the academic achievement of our kids, because that will bring families to the district. And why do I say this? Because in some of the outings there at the park, I was talking to some city council members there, and their focus is, no, let me backtrack. I did talk to city council members. I was talking to some people there. Their focus is how to bring families here. There are some housing developments in the planning. So what they were saying was, what they were suggesting is to work hand in hand with the district to boost those that academic achievement, because that will bring families to our district. That will take families to almost any district if the district is, and we're doing amazing things, but we just really have to blast it and put it out there. I'm certainly very excited to see the budget committee. As I mentioned before, this is something that has been requested numerous times over several years, because it is important for that committee to begin to see and plan together some of the hard decisions that will need to be made. And hopefully we won't see the closure of schools, etc. But it will not come as a shock, and it will not fall on the shoulders of the board as it did back in 2008, Dr. Rivera, when 4 schools were closed. And I know that the blame fell squarely on the shoulder. I wasn't on the board at that time, of the board. But if we have a budget committee with several stakeholders, we will all begin to see on whether the progress on the enrollment or the continuing decline. So this is definitely something that's going to help everybody. I really appreciate the cohort progression analysis. There's nothing like visuals for many of us. So when you see the drop per grade level, really tells a story. So I'm really looking forward to see a full progression analysis of all, to see where we're losing most students. I noticed that for the 12th graders, they wouldn't leave. They wouldn't graduate from the school, from the high school, their high school. So all in all, it's for, one other question I have. How will this start impacting negotiations as they come along, and also the much well-deserved needed salary increases for all staff?
We have to look at everything. So, I mean, we're going to start negotiations, and we're going to look at where the district is at financially. We're going to calculate out the cost of the various increases to salaries and benefits, and determine what, what the district can afford. And of course, the district, has to go through an AB 1200 process to make sure that whatever increases are given can be afforded the current year and the 2 out years in a multi-year projection. So we're going to have to do lots of math.
Okay, so this is, so I really believe that our union presidents must be part of this Budget Advisory Committee, so then they in turn can keep all members informed. Thank you, Mr. Hacker.
Just to add to that, Dr. Marino, we are going to be meeting with the association presidents starting tomorrow, just to kind of share, make sure that they have the information. So we do have a meeting already lined up with the association presidents to just begin the conversation and the dialogue for information, because I know one of the goals is to make sure that we have that level of communication and transparency. And moving forward, we'll be doing that as well.
Thank you, Dr. Marino. Dr. Rivera.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, very comprehensive, especially the data analysis. Now, you mentioned inflation, and we do have some COLAs coming up. I know the government is trying to control inflation, but do you have an estimation on how much inflation will take a bite out of the COLA? I mean, you're saying 6% COLA here. With inflation hitting that, what should we be looking at? 3%, 4%?
I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to say, but it won't be that much. And the reason I say that is more than 80% of the budget is labor, salaries, and benefits. So we know what those numbers are. We know what the increase in STRS contributions. We know all that. The unknown as we entered this year was what the cost of supplies and services would be, as well as capital expenditures. So at this point, we only really have anecdotal evidence as to what the impact is going to be. We could do some analysis and just pick items, paper towels and chemicals and various food, and we could look at that. At this point, it's just anecdotal. Just like when I go to the market for my own personal shopping, it's anecdotal. I have sticker shock at the receipt when I leave the market, but I haven't done the analysis as to how much bread has gone up. But we can do that analysis.
And I really appreciate that there is going to be some budget advisory committees. They were very helpful back on the board when we were going through the Great Recession. We did have such committees. We had teachers and we had some parents, and they made suggestions where they thought there would be some cuts or some adjustments in order to try to meet some of these budget needs. So I compliment you on that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. This is sort of a sobering type of report. And I think the biggest surprise to a lot of us is the rate of change in terms of the declining enrollment. I don't think we had that visual in front of us. So we knew the numbers, that we lost like 400 students, but then when you see it in the contents of over a 20-year span, it's a tremendous rate of change. And that rate of change is not good to look at. And I sort of wonder, once you get the demographics, is there some kind of comparison? You can look at the households and what that change was that might have influenced the enrollment. I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out, because for you to do a sort of a good analysis, you need to have the right context to sort of say, well, what's happening? The houses are still for sale, people are moving in, but what does that mean? Are they seniors moving in and the kids are moving out, families? Those are the kinds of I guess, questions that I wonder about. And I look at my neighborhood and we're all older. So
And look, those were the same questions that we asked Davis Demographics on the last Zoom meeting with them.
Yeah.
And it, there is new housing, but based on the type of housing, whether it's townhomes or single-family homes or apartment complexes, they have conversion rates they have just using formulas, they have a rough idea of, based on the type of home that's being built, how many additional students that could possibly generate. If you look at a lot of the more recent developments, and we actually got on Google Maps and while we're on that conversation, I pointed to a certain development, and we were able to count how many district students were in that development, and it wasn't a lot, and because the nature of the development was such that it wasn't the type of single-family home where young people with a family move into.
I agree with you. I think we have to keep our eyes on what kind of housing is being developed right now or being proposed. But we do have challenges ahead of us. But the information is good for us to sort of digest and make sure in the next couple of months, as we see the first expenditures, what's really happening, because inflation is hitting us all. Anyway, thank you for the presentation. It's good to see some good data and put in perspective that's understandable. Thank you. So the next item is item 13, discussion. Received the first reading of revised board policy 6173, education for homeless children. So this is a discussion item. So any comments? Maybe I'll start. I read the the updates, and I think it's pretty conclusive. I mean, it was a good update because I've never really read the first one, but this one tells me there's a lot of I wouldn't say work, but a lot of reporting, a lot of questions that we have to go through to make sure that we're servicing our homeless children. And it was interesting to see we do have a number of 52 that was identified. So we want to take care of our children. Any other comments?
Yes,
Ms.
thank you.
Meehan?
Yes, thank you to Ms. Dora Soto Delgado for bringing this forward. And I know I've said it in the past, but I just want to thank your department, because on Twitter you're always posting all the resources that are out there for our families that qualify for for these benefits. So I just want to say thank you for that. I did have a recommendation that I would like to the district to consider, and that's using Twitter's great and it's always out there, but I would love to see possibly looking into Peach Jar, which is a flyer distribution that a lot of the districts use. And it's just getting the resources and those messages out there for the families. I mean, some people aren't on Twitter, but again, I do appreciate, I know that they're on Twitter and different social media outlets, but it helps partners who have resources submit their flyers and approve them internally with the district at a faster rate. And there's like disclaimers, because there's also, compliance issues that you have to, it has to be district approved. And it's just like a faster process to get the information out there for our parents. Thank you.
Did you say peach jar? Is that?
Peach Jar, yes.
Any other comments? Doesn't seem like it. So we'll move on to the next item, the review of the conflict of interest code. Any comments there? Ms. Mejia?
Yes, so I noticed that there's a revision, and I was wondering if some of the director positions are not included on there. So for example, fiscal, both the director of fiscal and also the assistant, and also assistant and food services. I was wondering if those would also be included, since there's some assistant director positions already included on that.
Yes, I think we were talking about that, and so we would be willing, and I think it's a great idea to add those positions as well. So we will be looking at adding those positions as well. one commentary that I would like to add is, it makes sense to me to keep as many of those positions on there. You know, even some of the ones that might be on the existing list, just in the event as we move forward and we don't know if some of those positions will ever come back. You know, we might want to just keep it because this is a biannual review. So, you know, if within the next 48 months there's any adjustments in those positions, that way we don't have to come back and adjust it, but they know that they should maintain on that list. So I was going to suggest that any positions that potentially could be on in the future, we might want to keep them on as well. It's better to have more than to have fewer.
Dr.
I just wanted to check with the superintendent. So these positions are, the designated positions are already covered under the 700 form, right? These is existing ones?
Yes, yes.
I just wanted to make sure that they were all covered under that. Thank you.
Okay. No other comment? Thank you. So we'll, them, which is 13D C, standing agenda items for union partner reports. Any comments? Dr. Marino?
Okay, brief comment. I just want to say that it's good. It's good to see this, that we're having this discussion. Our association forms a critical component in the decisions that are made. So I believe that I first heard Mr. Hernandez when he approached the podium. I thought, yeah, this is absolutely wonderful. It's something that I definitely support because these will lead to better communication and between the board, superintendent, unions, and also the public. So I'm just very happy to see that this is coming. Hopefully it will come to be a standing part of the agenda. Some questions were asked earlier by one of our association presidents that I'm sure will address those questions individually, very valid questions in terms of what are the parameters and what does it include to be, what does it mean to have a standing item on the agenda for the associations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Mejia?
Yes, thank you. Glad to see that this finally made the agenda. I echo what Dr. Marino said. And I just want to add that this is a gesture of goodwill and of respect. I know that one of our board priorities is that we recruit, retain, and develop our staff, but this shows to me respect for our staff, and you're not going to be on a time limit. And if they have something to report, they'll report, and if they don't have anything to report, they could just say, no report for this month. Thank you for the consideration. I also support this item.
Ms. Perez?
I have a question / comment. So when are we going to discuss the parameters? Not today? That'll be next time?
I don't, I do believe that we had some valid comments that we don't have. In other words, this item really hasn't been, quote, vetted to really discuss what should be part of that agenda in terms of what kind of, can they ask questions? Are they just sharing thoughts, just like we had earlier? And what is the role that they have? And I think we need another discussion just to say, what are the rules of engagement? And what are the typical topics that you want to bring into as a standing meeting? I think that's appropriate because we understand that, they have brought out, union representatives have brought out valid concerns. But some cases, they are concerned, but they may not be something that could be maybe addressed in public, but maybe something that's between the superintendent and the union. And there's other items where it's appropriate. But we just need some guidelines so that we can make sure that if they have questions, that it's appropriate for this environment of a public meeting.
So we're going to do another discussion?
What?
We're doing another discussion at a future meeting?
I think we need to have some guidelines written before. Dr. Marino?
I don't know if anyone's had a turn, but if I may, oh, Dr. Rivera? Oh, thank you. What I like to suggest is that the association presidents have a conversation with our superintendent, and the Mr. Dr. Villegas, you'll share, in turn, share with us what it is that, what the outcome of the conversation, and then we certainly can have another discussion. I know that for the sake of time, nobody wants to see that time get any any longer than during the meetings. So I first would like to hear what the associations are proposing before the board makes any decisions. Thank you.
And just to finish my thought, and that's why I was asking, are we talking about it today? But if we're not, and I totally approve this. I do think there should be a time limit, just because then the meetings get too long, and they're just updates or whatever the guidelines. But I do think that the conversation needs to be between the union representatives and whether the board or whether superintendent, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. That was it. Thank you.
Dr. Rivera?
I like what everybody's mentioning. I just want to just share that agenda items are guided by the Brown Act. So if we're going to do something like this, we just need to make sure we stay within the Brown Act.
Absolutely. So that would be under the direction of the board. I'd love to confer a meeting with associations, hear their thoughts, make sure that whatever they're requesting is in line with the Brown Act and in line with the vision of the board as it relates to the protocol for our board meetings. We certainly want them to have the opportunity to speak. I think the intent was for there to be a standing item for them to speak freely for their time, and to be able to have that opportunity without necessarily always having to pull a card, but having an opportunity to speak with them, with us, or with the group. And then, as it relates to, questions and that kind of thing, we do have other mechanisms for questions. And so I think that, we'll discuss that and see, in fact, how it fits into the Brown Act. But, just to say overall, we are absolutely partners with our labor partners. We want to make sure that we have transparency and the ability to communicate and dialogue with them. And some things may happen in the board meeting, but many of the things will happen outside the board meeting so that we can continue to have the rich dialogue that they deserve for us to talk to them on an ongoing basis. So I look forward to that conversation. I'll be setting up meetings to make sure we can talk about how we can structure this to be as most effective as possible.
Good idea. Thank you. Is item 14, Board of Education announcements and acknowledgements. I'll start with Mrs. Mejia.
You go to your right or my left.
What?
You go to your right or my left. I'll go after that.
With this shield.
Can you start with someone else, please?
Okay, I will. I'll start with Arlene. Ms. Perez.
I wanted to say happy Hispanic Latinx Heritage Month. Feliz Miss. Ooh, I don't know the other part. I will learn it. But, I think it's a great thing to celebrate. I love that, we got in the mood. Just celebrate the achievements, right, that we've provided to the country, that we bring to everything. It's a different flavor that I really love. I didn't go to the last board meeting, so it's an event from the past. The Vicente Fernandez event was a great opportunity to look at the city, to see, to really highlight Pico Rivera. I talked to NBC News because I really want to highlight our rancho. I really want to highlight, and that's what, and he said that he wants to bring those stories. He said, I want to, really showcase your schools, really showcase the amazing things. So that's one of my goals, to really bring them back, bring a lot of media back, to really echo like the achievements we had tonight, the different things that our schools and staff are doing. That's one of my goals. Then I also went to the back to school night at our rancho with some of my colleagues, and it was amazing just to talk to the students, the food, the elote from the Folclorico group was amazing. But just really hear about their input and really talk to the teachers to see, what can we do. The mental health department talked about, how can they got a new space, and so they want new furniture. So if anyone wants to help, that's one of my other goals, to help bring new furniture for students to have a safe space, right? We talk about mental health, especially with everything with the pandemic. They definitely, need our help. And then I did have, a conversation with Dr. Villegas, Pacific West, about new STEM opportunities to bring to our districts. That's something that I'm excited to be working on. And then I wanted to end with just my condolences to Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic with everything going on right now with just everything. I don't even know how to explain it. But I just wanted to send my condolences to anybody affected or anyone for that. And that's all.
Dr. Marino?
Buenas noches a todos aquí presentes y a la audiencia que nos escucha. Good evening to all. My comments are brief because I was out of the country for 2 weeks. I traveled to Mexico to celebrate Mexico's Independence Day, and not only Mexico's Independence Day, but my birthday as well. I traveled to the state of Guanajuato, to the city of Dolores Hidalgo, where Mexico's call for independence first was given, El Grito. The call for independence was given at the church. And coincidentally, I was baptized at that church 73 years ago. So it was really exciting to see, the church where it all began, where our independence began. But, we hear the negative of this beautiful country. We hear the social problems, the drug problems, but it's a beautiful, vibrant country that still celebrates the independence. So I am just so proud proud of my heritage, but more importantly, to be passing this along to my grandkids. I did return late Sunday night, but I did take time to get current with what's going on. I want to start by congratulating, because this came through Dr. Villegas, congratulating all of the students, all the recognitions that we were given here today to our students. Also want to congratulate and recognize Bernie Tech Academy for the $250,000 grant they received, 225. So it is amazing what the staff has done. They've taken time out of their summer, and Ms. Gallegos as well, under the leadership of Ms. Gallegos, to get $250,000 for that school. It's just amazing. Thank you for doing that. Also, congratulate the students that were invited by the Soccer Association, I believe, the avid students. What a treat for our kids. It's just amazing. But anyway, having said that, and I did have time yesterday to attend LACSA virtual meeting on the Proposition 39 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. That was very, very informative. Help me with the name. Anton Jagger, who is the executive director of the California Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. He gave us some good information, even though I was on the bond committee for 3 years. I did learn some things, and we had an opportunity to hear from other bond CBOG members and board members, a superintendent, I believe, as well. And I want to say that our very own Ms. Castillo is a member of the CALBOC, the California Bond Oversight Committee. So, I had time to review the agenda, so thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Rivera? Are you ready, Ms. Mejia? There you go.
I am ready. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Feliz mes de herencia hispana. Fun fact about the National Hispanic Heritage Month is that the theme is Unidos, Inclusivity for a Stronger Nation. All voices are represented and welcome to help build stronger communities and a stronger nation. Maybe next year we can introduce a Hispanic Heritage Month resolution, which I think would be great. Along those lines, I'd like to recommend a book by Reina Grande, The Distance Between Us, a Latina author. Highly recommended. So some of the things that I'd like to report on are I was part of a finalist validation for the Golden Bell Award at one of our neighboring districts, and that was a pretty cool process. What I like about this is that, hopefully they'll get an award, but best practices that are shared from the districts once they get their award, it impacts all the districts once we see the best practices that are happening, like what happened with our district as well. I attended the college fair as well, the first in person for parents since 2019, And I know as a parent, it means a lot to be able to participate with with your child, with your student, and you have those hopes and dreams of higher education. So it was just great. So thank you to the El Rancho High School administration and to the college and career counselor that they have there. From there, I ran over to the virtual meeting for LAXA as well, like Dr. Marino and Ms. Castillo attended. And yes, it was a really good meeting. Not only was there a great presentation, but they had great breakout rooms and discussions. And he gave us homework as well. Mr. Junger gave us homework to see for us to reflect how are we doing. How are our CBOCs doing? Are they really independent? Do they have the support that they need? So it's great reflection. I also attended the Montebello 16 meeting held here at the council chambers, and I just want to say that I'm very proud of our community. Thank you for Ms. Soto Delgado for also attending and representing the district. Our community came out and advocated, and I hope that we're able to put this item back again at a future meeting because we need to keep going, and we need to, we can't give up. Our students and our community need us to continue to advocate. I did catch a football game, a cross-country meet, and I just want to highlight and commend El Rancho High School's cheerleaders who put on a cheer clinic for elementary students. I also want to congratulate El Rancho High School standout Alex Figueroa, who placed first place at the Woodbridge Invitational. If you don't know what the Woodbridge is, that's like a night invitational, and it's very coveted, and it's a great invitational. I also want to congratulate Joaquin Lafarga on a new PR that he achieved at that meet. I want to congratulate El Rancho football team on their win against the Montebello Oilers. Although they lost last week, it was still a great game, and I just want to say that we have great fans that endured the rain at the Montebello game because it was raining, but people were out there, and it was a great atmosphere. Lastly, I just want to address a little bit some of the comments that some of the public comments that we had. I know that we want our facilities to be well maintained. That's part of like the Williams process, and I just want to make sure that our staff and our parents know that that's the expectation, and that we should always go above compliance, and we should always strive. I know that one of the sayings for El Rancho, the school district, is commitment to excellence. Commitment to excellence, and I just want to always for us to have that mindset that we go beyond compliance and always strive for the best, but at the same time that we support our staff because they need support. I know we have staffing shortages, but that the expectation is that in everything and anything we do for our students, it's to have a commitment to excellence. Thank you.
Dr. Rivera?
I'll be brief. A lot of things my colleagues have already shared. I do want to, again, congratulate our students who were part of the College Board national recognition. It truly is a national recognition, and really, really important thing for our students to participate in that, and they be recognized by the College Board as well as our school district. So congratulations to those students. I want to thank the teachers, counselors, administrators at the high school for a very successful college fair. There was a lot of students who were engaged in that, and it looked very, very positive and promising because we do want to encourage our students for higher education. I understand that the coffee with the superintendent went extremely well, and congratulations for that. Positive feedback from parents I have received, and I also understand that Dr. Villegas is going to plan another one, I think, in the evening to be able to catch those parents who weren't able to do that in the morning. So thank you for that. That was a very, very positive experience for the parents. And finally, it is Hispanic Heritage Month, and I encourage everyone to participate, go to some activity, but right here in Pico Rivera, we have a lot of historical heritage. Our area was part of the Great Ranchos back then, and maybe you want to visit the Pico House or the Pico Rivera Museum because there's a lot of historical heritage here as well. So with that, good night and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. And my comments are going to be short as well. That since the last board meeting, I did participate with Coffee with the Superintendent at Ellen Ochoa. It was well attended. We had about 50 parents from what I could tell. There were like 4 discussion groups, and we got input on things that the parents were saying what was working good, what wasn't, and we collected that information. So I believe we will be acting on it. So that was exciting, and we do know that there's another. I don't know if you call it coffee or tea, considering it's the evening for the parents in the evening in October. Now, as I was driving in today to this meeting, listening to the radio, I didn't know today is National Voter Registration Day. I didn't know that that was really key, but this is to get people to register to vote for the upcoming election. The comment they had is vote for your values and fight for your rights. And in today's environment, that is so true because voter rights are under distress right now. We're looking at women's rights, and we're just looking for equalization with everybody. So it's important that the voters express their vote. That's all I have to say. Thank you. And we'll go to the 15th, the comments by the superintendent.
Thank you very much. And a lot of the things that have been covered, I'm planning to just say a few sentences about. One, the big emphasis on student achievement. I got to tell you, we're working really hard with our school sites to really our focus is to look at the data, to be able to help the data tell the story and help us drive instructional practice. To that end, we have a big plan for all the school sites to use instructional data to help drive the instructional decisions, for there to be what we call professional learning communities within each of the environments so that we can have a really good look at how our students are doing and how they can improve. So student achievement is a big priority. With that, I was really happy to see the college fair as well. I attended that, and one of the things that I always say, college is not a dream, it's a plan. And so we could have the dream, but we need to have the plan. And part of it is having that fair and having the exposure and having students recognize what is out there. So really excited about the plan that's being developed, not only at El Rancho High School, but at all the schools coming up through the ranks. Safety is a huge issue. And one of the things that we've been doing, there's many things that are happening simultaneously. One of them, of course, is the safety summit that we have scheduled on September 29th at North Park at 6 p.m. and that we invite our community partners to attend, where we'll be sharing information about what are the things that we're doing, but also asking questions about how we can continue to improve the work that we're doing related to safety. In that same realm, the much coveted training, the active shooter training is coming up. We have the dates. I know I mentioned in the past that it was October, but specifically the dates are October 3rd and October 12th. Those are dates that we have the training. And so they're going to be large trainings. We're partnering with the Sheriff's Department, and they're going to be providing the training for us. And so really excited about that opportunity. Just a quick update on the sports teams. Our sports teams are doing well. I mean, the season's about to start for a lot of the teams, the volleyball, the tennis teams, the football team, all of these, water polo, all of these are teams, that we have in place. Trustee Mejia mentioned cross country. All of these are Rancho teams that are continuing doing well, and I've gone to several of the football games, including the one in the rain. And I'm looking forward to going to some of the other games as well. And I've talked to the principal to see if we can make sure to give me some dates so I can attend some of these other games as well. With parent engagement, coffee with the superintendent was good. I think the evening one's going to be decaf with the superintendent, perhaps. Or maybe we'll have, I also heard we have a sponsor that's going to be joining us, and that's Chick-fil-A. So maybe Chick-fil-A with the superintendent. But I think we'll keep the brand the same so that it's consistent and everyone knows it's coffee. But there may be a few other snacks. And that second date is October 25th. So it's a Tuesday. And we're going to be structured in the same way. So if you attended the first one, it's going to be structured the same. We're going to be asking the same questions, and it's really just an opportunity for those that were not able to attend in the morning to be able to attend in the evening. So there won't be any new information shared, but you're welcome to come. Just know that it's going to be pretty much the same thing, and we're hoping to get those that could not make it in the morning. We've been working really hard with with Ron joining the team, and so looking at making sure that we are moving forward with all the bond projects that have been started. And I think you've seen that in our board meetings where we've had more information and the opportunity to make sure we're monitoring that. At the same time, have a really good understanding of our finances. And so today you heard a lot of information related to how our finances are, and we're working really hard to make sure that we share that information with all the partners as soon as we can. Student advisory. This is something that I've shared before. I've had an opportunity to share to meet with ASB at first, but now it's converting into student advisory. We have scheduled 4 meetings for the year. October 18th, December 6th, February 7th, and April 4th are days that I'll be meeting with student advisory at El Rancho High School. Looking forward to also creating one of these at Salazar. But currently, there was an application process for those that wish to be part of the advisory. They're going through the last moments of vetting those students, and there'll be a selection of the student advisory very, very soon. But our first meeting is October 18th. And in case any of our students are out there listening, I think they're going to have lunch provided for them. I think it's going to be in and out for the first one, so that'll be excited for them. Again, it was talked earlier about the Montebello line. I'm very proud to know that our staff has continued to participate in listening to parents and really advocating for our students in the need to continue to communicate with the Montebello Transit Department to make sure that we're working together to try to find a solution for the students related to the Montebello line. And so again, lots of activity, lots of fun things happening this fall, and looking forward to continue giving you updates as we move forward.
Thank you. Our next item is the consent agenda. Is there anything to be pulled? Nothing? Oh, good. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, and we'll go with a vote. Any discussion? Probably not. Okay, we'll go with a vote. Dr. Rivera? Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Nothing pulled, and here we go. The next item is new business action items. And the first one is 17A, 1, adopt resolution number 13-2022-2023, recognizing a state of emergency and reauthorizing teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Okay, and a second, I guess one of those would be, any discussion? No? So we'll go with a vote. Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next item is to 17A2, approve, ratify agreement for special services between the El Rancho Unified School District and the law firm of Atkinson, Endelson, Loya, Rudd, and Romo. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second, okay. And one of them will be second. Any discussion? No? Okay. A vote? Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr. Marino?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next one is 17B1, adopt resolution 14-2022-2023 in support of National If You See Something, Say Something Public Awareness Week, September the 26th to the 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
Mejia, move to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second? Yes. Okay, and then we'll just go, Dr. Marino, a vote?
You didn't ask,
Vote yes.
you didn't ask for discussion.
But
Oh,
discussion.
do you want a discussion? Okay.
please.
Okay, one discussion. Okay. I just jumped to the vote right away, so we'll backpedal and we'll listen to any discussion. Dr., I think it was the,
I did have a bit of a commentary with that. As you know, the See Something, Say Something is really a campaign that is very helpful in many ways, because I think it shows the community involvement that we have. It shows that together we can make a collective impact in the work that we're doing, and by being able to communicate whatever it might be, see something and say something, that helps us do something, right? that that becomes really the pattern. And I know we've done a lot of work related to this piece, and I'd love to take this opportunity to share a video that has been developed about the See Something, Say Something. So we have it queued, ready to go, and we'd like to share that with you, followed then by the actual reading of the resolution, if it's okay.
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 We, the students of the El Rancho Unified School District, want everybody to know that we want to learn in a safe environment. We want to go to school.
To discover something new.
To create. To design.
To make new friends.
That's where you come in. If you see something on our school campus that seems strange or unsafe, please tell a trusted adult immediately. If you hear any rumors or threats,
Or see any inappropriate posts on social media.
we need you to come forward. We need everyone to help keep our schools safe.
Please think before you post.
Think before you speak. Think before you make wrong choices. Safety is something we should never play around with. Be kind. Be respectful to everyone you meet. School is for learning. School is about having fun. School is not a place for violence.
We need everyone.
We need you. 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 Join the movement.
Join the movement.
Hear something. See something. Say something. Don't take chances.
Do not be a bystander.
Do not be afraid to come forward.
Do not be afraid to come forward.
Do not wait. There are plenty of ways to report something unsafe. Tell your teacher.
Tell an administrator.
Tell a trusted adult. Tell your parents. Please say something. Please say something. We need everyone to work together. Inbox us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Report it on Textative. Hear something. See something.
Then say something.
Hear something.
See something.
Say something.
Special thanks to Mr. Hernandez and his team that helped put that together, as well as.
I agree with Mr. Hernandez. It was so much fun putting it together. I watch and I get emotional because even though it was a lot of fun, it's a very important message. And you can feel the emotion from the kids. They truly believe it and they truly want it. And I know that they're going to do well with this campaign. Anyhow, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to read the resolution. This is in support of National If You See Something, Say Something Public Awareness Week. Whereas our community's security is a shared responsibility and every citizen plays a critical role in identifying and reporting suspicious activities and threats. In July 2010, the Department of Homeland Security launched the If You See Something, Say Something public awareness campaign nationwide. And whereas the If You See Something, Say Something was originally developed by the New York Metropolitan Transportation Authority in 2002, following the September 11, 2001 attacks. And whereas If You See Something, Say Something is a simple and effective program to engage the public and key frontline employees to identify and report indicators of terrorism and terrorism-related crime to transportation and law enforcement authorities. And whereas the If You See Something, Say Something campaign will complement the El Rancho Unified School District safety programs such as Texatip, Gaggle, and reporting to a trusted adult in efforts to protect the students, staff, and community from harm. And whereas students, staff, parents, and community members should report any suspicious behavior in situations, for example, an unattended backpack in a public place, someone trying to break into a restricted area, fights, truancy, trespassing, graffiti, bullying, social media posts, drug use, and mental health concerns, such as suicidal and homicidal ideation or other criminal activity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the El Rancho Unified School District do hereby declare September 26th through the 30th, 2022 as If You See Something, Say Something Public Awareness Week, and furthermore, encourages its members to advocate and support the If You See Something, Say Something public awareness campaign, adopted by the El Rancho Unified School District Governing Board of Education in Pico Rivera, California, number 14-2022-2023 on this 20th day of September 2022.
Thank
I just want to make one comment and just a suggestion. You know, this is really such an impactful video. I'm wondering if we can share that with the city council, and maybe they can show it during one of their presentations so they can be aware of this campaign that we're promoting.
I have a meeting with Ms. Cremona tomorrow, so I'll make sure to have that as one of our items. So absolutely, let's see if at least have knowledge of it.
Marina?
Well, along those lines, if we can work with city council, with the city to promote this campaign, to unfold it. I know this is going to be on the website, but and I don't want to create any more work for Tony and for everyone involved with this wonderful video. Possibility of having it translated or the information that's going out to parents.
Great idea.
Ms. Mejia?
Yeah, that's what I also had as well. So I echo Dr. Marino's sentiments about having it in Spanish as well. And again, this is a very powerful public service announcement because it's made by our students, our Y. And I look forward to the district-wide, which is great, the district-wide campaign, and just seeing the Spirit Week theme for next week and seeing all the posts on social media. Thank you again to the communications team. Great job.
Ms. Perez?
Yeah, I just thank you to the community. It's an amazing video that made me, I got so emotional. You just want to cry. But I think it's also, and I hope that it's not just a week, right? But that we really embrace it and like make it a long term. Because I think as adults, right, if you have the Ring, you're always checking the notifications from neighbors. And so I'm like, how can we, I think this is the beginning of creating that culture of, see something, say something. So I would love to make sure that we continue this and we always, come back to this and build that culture.
That's a powerful program to share with everyone. In today's environment, it is really sort of sad that, some children in neighboring communities are being, I wouldn't say it attacked, but they have been assaulted to some degree, and they scream and people respond. And that's really important, that when someone is asking for help, regardless of the situation, everybody has to pay attention and run to their aid. And so that's an important message that we send out to not only the kids to say something if they see something, but have their parents know, if I scream, come running for me, because I may be in danger. And the kids are your powerful voices as they educate their children into the see something, hear something, say something, because it's everywhere in our community, and we need to be vigilant, because the kids are at risk in today's environment. It's awful, but I'd like to give warnings to parents, watch out for their kids. Anyway, thank you. We'll go to the next item. So that was, we voted, okay. Got distracted. Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Ms. Mia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr. Moreno?
Yes.
Okay, I vote yes. So we voted on this resolution. Okay, and the next item is 17C1. Approved design development and authorized to move forward with construction documents and cost estimating for the multipurpose room modernization project at 8 elementary schools. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Second. Okay, and then any discussion? The only comment I will make is come back with a day, a schedule, and a plan to deal with the kitchens, because I didn't realize that those were excluded in the upgrades. So it's important that they're handled just as well at a future date. Okay, any other discussion?
Yes. Well, the project is the multipurpose room. The multipurpose room is the cafeteria. It never included the kitchen, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
It's a multipurpose room.
Yeah, I was under the impression initially that it included the kitchen because it was HVAC systems in the building. So to my knowledge, that included the kitchen, but that might be just the constraint that I didn't understand. Okay, so we have any other discussion? Okay, and then we have a movement, a vote. Okay, Dr. Rivera? Ms. Mejia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Okay. So the next item is 17C3, and that is to approve authorization to purchase vehicles as needed using the State of California statewide contracts. Do I have a motion?
Mejia move.
Okay, any discussion? No? We'll go for a vote. Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Ms. Mejia?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera? I vote yes as well. The next one would be item 17D1. Amend resolution number 7-2022-2023, authorizing multiple subject credentialed teachers to teach in intermediate departmental classes per California's Education Code 44256B. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Okay, then we'll go for a vote. Dr. Rivera? Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Marino? Yes, and I vote yes as well. The next item is to 17D2, approve, ratify submission of request for initial variable term waiver single subject in foundational level math. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Then we'll go for a vote. Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Ms. Mejia?
Yes.
Dr. Rivera? And I vote yes as well. And the last item is 17D3, approve amendment to employment contract for the superintendent of schools. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, is there a discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Mejia?
Yes. So this amendment just I feel I just need to make a statement that if someone gets a positive evaluation, you shouldn't need an amendment. It's the right thing to do. So I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Dr. Rivera, vote. Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Marino? And I vote yes as well. The next item is 18, recommendation for future agenda items. Do I have them? Agenda items? Ms. Mejia?
Yes. So today we had a presentation on the multipurpose room. So I would like to get a shade structure status. And also making sure that we have the Montebello 60 on the agenda again, and also revisiting the board evaluation. Again, I've had this item, requested this item previously, and at our board retreat, we did get some materials where we can do a board evaluation, and I think that it's time that we do one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any?
Second.
Okay.
Second them, right?
And
Yeah.
any other? No? Okay. You have one? Okay. Ms. Perez?
What if we can begin the conversations with about the city and the board? I'm blanking on the name. The contract. I don't know. I'm blanking on the name. The joint use. Thank you. If we can try to get that a conversation on the joint use agreement between the city and the board to start getting that ball rolling. That's one of them. And then the second one, I don't know if it's an informational item or discussion, but given one of the comments was about the conditions of the schools, right? And I do agree that it's making sure that we have things in place. But another thing that I know I did at previous schools, a beautification day, it's not to fix that. I agree that that's something else separate, but it could help, right? Getting volunteers, getting alum to come do a beautification day at a school. So if we can get some information about what has been done in the past, maybe what can we do to and I would love to help in any way on that.
Can I add a little bit to that. So in the past, it was Community Pride Day, and it was in conjunction with the city. There was such a thing as Community Pride Day, and it was they would pick a site.
So is that, I want to do it though. Is that like a discussion item or a informational? I never noticed. Is it like a, can we get in some information as to like past stuff that's been done with the city for beautification type of?
It would be an informational item that
Okay.
we could bring forth and have talk about what has happened in the past.
Okay.
Relates to that.
Thank you. Oh, can I get a second?
Second.
Oh.
Any others? No. Okay, so the last item is adjournment. Okay, do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, votes. Dr. Rivera? Ms. Mejia?
Yes.
Dr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
And I say yes, and we're done at about 9.
Can we sing happy birthday to Dr. Marino?
Done. Thank you.
Count three. We'll sing happy birthday. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Marino. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Arlene, and everyone for all your good wishes. First time. I've been on the board 6 years. First time. Thank you. I love it.